Since he was a boy, Zach Bagans has been drawn to the mysterious and the strange, acquiring a collection of haunted artifacts that began as a child's hobby and grew into an adult's obsession that could only be contained within the massive 33 rooms of his haunted museum, ranging from the tragic and arcane to objects of the occult and the cursed. Zach has curated and carefully constructed his museum to bring visitors face to face with the darkest recesses of our reality, so that they might brush against the veil between worlds and walk away forever changed.
This house has more history than just the artifacts.
Built in 1938 by Cyril Wenger, this former home was occupied by the Wengert family for 29 years. Plagued by tragedy, the family lost a child when he was only 7 years old, and the Wengert matriarch, Lottie, passed away in the very room that now houses Bela Lugosi's mirror. For a time after the Wengert family's departure, the home sat abandoned. Although, according to witness testimony, it was still used by intruders who performed occult rituals in the basement, opening portals of dark energy that could still be felt many years later by the members of the Nevada State Bar who became the building's final tenants before Zach.
Did you ever leave here from working and notice your personality is different?
Often. I actually poured salt in the back office I worked to keep whatever negative energy was out.
Gosh, I didn't know that this was at this level. Seeing people that are working for me being affected is now connecting with reliable sources, credible sources, and fortunately, it's all piecing together. Unfortunately. What's wrong?
I'm freezing.
You okay?
I'm freezing. I need to sit down. I don't know why. Okay, I need to sit down.
You okay? What's wrong?
Oh, that was strange.
Even though it had been over a year since Erica stepped inside the building, whatever is within the museum remembered and laid claim to her with scratch marks that appeared the moment she drove away, trying in vain to leave this darkness behind her once and for all.
The Oddities room is filled with many unique and amazing artifacts that Zach has collected.
And every time Zach goes away to film for Ghost Adventures, he comes back with more stuff.
Several months ago, I was actually attacked in front of the Oddities room. My arm is ripped in a burning pain. And I check my arm, there are 3 faint scratches on it.
Every time I lead my group in and I look off to the side, I always will see the same little girl wearing a white dress. She doesn't say anything, but she just stands there and she stares. Another coworker of mine had mentioned to me that it possibly could be the spirit of Lily, our doll that we have in the Oddities room.
Lily, an 1800s German doll with real human hair, was found in a chest by an antiques dealer in Salem, Oregon. A young girl who visited his antique shop said that Lily spoke to her and revealed she was a little girl who was subjected to extreme violence.
Ever since Lily came into the museum and the energy's kind of shifted, I've had these dreams about this man and this little girl, and he's pulling the hair out of her head. The blood is just dripping down this little girl's face. he's sewing this bloody hair into this doll, and it's Lily. I believe it's a little girl that's inside of Lily, who doesn't understand why she's inside of Lily.
As a teenager in the 70s, Rachel Vasco used to sneak into the building that now houses the museum. Abandoned at the time, it had been left in a state of lonely decay, and it was there, in the basement, that Rachel discovered something truly terrifying.
The first thing I saw was a pentagram on the floor, and then there was a circle around that pentagram, and I also saw blood drops.
The remnants of those rituals, they stay.
Notorious serial killer Ed Gein, infamous for wearing the skin of his victims and his experiments with human taxidermy, inspired the films Psycho, Silence of the Lambs, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He used this cauldron, found in his home during his arrest, to cook human remains.
A piece of property once owned by one of Wisconsin's most notorious criminals was sold this past weekend to the TV host of Ghost Adventures on the Travel Channel.
The cauldron now resides within the museum, empty, except for whatever unseen force might still cling to the very same surface which once cooked human flesh.
I've been touched in there. Other women have been touched in there. Ed Gein's target was women, so I think he chose to target me.
There's a big casing over the cauldron so that nobody accidentally curses themselves. I leaned up against it for too long one night, went home, and had a very vivid nightmare of being murdered and chunks of flesh getting ripped out of my back. I believe he's still in that room. And he wants me with his items.
Yeah, right behind them on the red dot. Thank you. Right behind them on the red dot. Alright guys, how you doing? Good. Alright, you guys gotta stay around that red dot. Yeah, you don't have to be on it. You don't have to be on it, just near it. Okay guys? You got them in every room. Make sure you stay on them. That just keeps your distance this way. That's all it is. There's 3 in every room, so just remember 666 and you won't forget. Alright? Okay. Alright guys, you gotta have your mask on at all times. Make sure you don't take it off for any reason. Don't pop your nose out or anything like that. If Iron Sky sees you, they will ask you to leave. Okay guys? Alright. No photos, no video, no audio allowed in the village. So we're gonna put this one out here, lobby only. No firearms, no drugs, no alcohol, no baking, no smoking, no food, waters, or beverages allowed in the village. If you have a question, ask your tour guide. If there's a room you don't want to go in, you don't want to see, tell your tour guide. Okay? The tour takes an hour and 20 minutes. It's a guided tour. Once you're on the tour, you can't get off the tour back on the tour. So we'll tell you next is very important. Once you're in the lobby, make sure you go to the bathroom. I don't want to see anybody doing this, all right? The building was built in 1938 by Cecil Wagner. He was the head of Nevada Steel, Nevada Power at the time, okay? He built this for his family of 5. 30 rooms, 11,000 square feet. Now in 1970, the building was empty and people used to break in and do demonic activities. That's where it all started, right there and then. It just kept growing and growing and growing, all the way up to when Zach bought the building many years later. The lawyers he bought it from told him they used to sprinkle salt on the ground to make sure that evil would stay down. And when Zach brought his items in here, it just exploded. Any questions? You guys get the RIP or the general admission? RIP, general admission. RIP, very good. You guys know the difference? RIP, you get more rooms, more activities, and you get to go in the basement, which has been closed off. Also, guys, at the end of the tour, you get a t-shirt. Now, the t-shirt alone is worth $32. Okay? The upgrade is $31. You get more for your punch with this. If you want to upgrade, you can do that inside. If not, that's okay. Alright? Don't forget the t-shirt in the kitchen. Okay? You guys heard about the flashlight tours that we're having, right? Alright, everybody know what those are? It's actually an investigation. You guys know that? You do the investigation. You get the equipment and you actually do the investigation in the building. Yes, you have your flashlight to go around. You also have equipment. And you do the investigation. First time ever, Zach has let people do investigation in the building. Okay? So it's the #1 big deal. Alright? If you want to know more about it, just go on Zach Bagans, HauntedMuseum.com, and it'll give you all the schedule. And I'll tell you a secret. We do have openings for tonight. So if you're interested, go on that website, check it out.
I have a question. What if you have your own equipment? Do you get to use your own equipment?
It depends on the equipment. There's a list on the schedule that tells you what you can use.
Okay.
What do you have?
SLS camera?
No cameras.
Okay.
No cameras, no photos. They're doing limited EVPs and recorders.
Okay,
There's
so
no
what if you
cameras.
have the spirit box?
What?
The spirit box.
I think they'll let them use that, but I don't know. You gotta look online.
Okay.
Because they changed it, you can see what happened.
Okay.
So you gotta look online.
Okay.
Are you going? I mean,
Probably not.
Yet.
yeah, if you're gonna go, yeah. Look online and do all your stuff. Any questions?
Yeah.
But I know you can't use cameras.
Okay, yes.
All right, guys.
Oh, look at that.
I know.
Still on there.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
You guys right over there? Right in front of me, guys. That's where you check in. Right over there, guys. If you have to go to the bathroom, go now. There's a chance you got to go to the bathroom. You're going out. I know you're using a lot of K2s, man. You're using a lot of K2s, EMF meters. That's what they want. Okay. That's what they give you. But I know there's no cameras.
Okay.
No. And I know there's openings tonight, so.
Alright.
Where you guys going? Okay.
Arizona.
Thanks.
We do a lot of investigations at Tombstone.
What?
We've done a lot of investigations at Tombstone. We went over that place there.
Thank you. All right, guys, you can check in.
Pamela Rhodes, R-H-O-D-E-S. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any questions? If you have any questions about items besides building the show itself, please ask. If you want to take pictures, you can take pictures in here, and then you have to shut up your cell phones when you're done.
We can't take pictures in here?
In here only.
Yeah.
Oh, did you get pictures of any of this?
No.
I didn't either.
That's okay.
Okay.
Nothing. They captured no voices, so now Billy sets up a shadow detection device.
What is the most haunted place you feel in Houston?
I'm sorry.
The bird cage.
Yeah, birdcage.
Yeah.
And then I had something happen to me at Nora's place where the old Undertaker place is.
Yep.
I had some things happen
And I heard
there.
the general store across the street's real good too.
Yeah.
That's even big.
Upstairs. Yeah.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
And we went to the Big Nose Cake.
Oh man,
We
really?
went to the Big Nose Cake. They took us downstairs in the basement there, down there.
next place is investigated.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat there.
I like Virginia City.
That's here in the bay, right? Yeah, a friend of ours just had a paracon there, but then he passed away. Right after they had the paracon there, he passed away. I don't even know what happened. I just saw about it on Facebook. I don't even know what happened.
Yeah, I like Jerome. Jerome's a great place to go.
Yeah. We haven't been to that. We haven't
Blows
been
your
to.
mind.
Well, that's where they have the paracon every year. We went to the paracon. They canceled it this year though. I was so disappointed. But we got some really neat stuff that blows your mind too. But we didn't have the equipment then that we do now, so we're gonna have to go back now.
Dangerous electrical experiment with hopes of capturing evidence surrounding the Charles Manson exhibit. I now contacted Nerve Center to see if anything will appear on camera.
Any other questions, Jack? You got to miss one.
Yeah.
She's coming. No problem. I'm just making sure I'm ready.
Either that or there's a ghost in there. I'm making noises.
She's not a ghost, but she's something.
All right, guys, I think one sign up there that's actually your oath. So everybody, repeat after me. This building is known to contain.
This building is not insane.
Ghost spirits and cursed objects.
Ghost spirits and cursed objects.
By entering, you agree that management
By entering, you agree that management
will not be liable for any
will not be liable for any
actions by these unseen forces.
actions by these unseen forces.
All right, guys, listen up. At this time, if you're not taking any pictures, shut up all cell phones. All cell phones off. Make sure when they call us, we're ready to go. So all cell phones off at this time. I know you guys are ready to go. Okay? Also, guys, if you have any questions about the items inside the building, the show itself is just about the paranormal, please ask. I'll help you out as much as I can. I've been a paranormal investigator for over 20 years.
Created and owned by serial killers, some of whom were electrocuted in the electric chair. I can't help but wonder if this experiment could also be a reenactment triggered to unleash their energy from these items. Does this remind you of your dad?
Owens is very, another town that's very haunted.
I've heard, yeah. I've
Yeah,
heard
yeah,
remember I told you about that.
Yeah, they know what to investigate.
We also wanted to check out Yuma Prison too.
That's real good.
Huh?
Yeah, we're gonna do
Yeah,
that
I contacted them, I just haven't called them yet. They, because I didn't know
They're
they
talking
were.
about different investigations they've been on. Any other questions? Nope. You're going to hear me say that a lot for two reasons. One, in case you got a question, and then with these masks on, I can't tell if you believe it. Right. I'm going to lie. All right, all cell phones off?
Go. Yes.
Let's go. Right this way. Let's go. Let's go, man.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Anybody knows anything about ghosts, that's for sure. Good stuff.
please ask that nobody reach over and touch any of the items or artifacts. I know a lot of them are really cute. Some of them actually still function and still work, but they're very fragile, so we can't have anybody touching them. Otherwise, it's hot. Let's get inside. Right this way.
The handbell's on. It's no longer here, right? No, he didn't keep it. Yeah. They wasn't allowed to. Yeah, they was. These are cool.
Oh, I got you, Kate. And then you're going to go straight ahead to the key that says Zach Bagans.
Okay.
Yes, all the way to the end. Basically, yeah, I know it's going to take a minute for your eyes to adjust, but just keep going so you can't go over.
Oh, wow, look at that. Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, as you can see, the museum is a little bit darker. Don't worry about like the third room. Your eyes will be right back. You'll eyes will be adjusted in here. So this is the first room we're going to be seeing on tour today. This is Zach's oddities room. Now, as you can see, there's a ton of things inside this room. I wish I knew the story about every single one of them. Sadly, I do not. But that also means that not everything I talk about while we're on tour is going to be a haunted, cursed, or possessed. Some of it has a really cool mystery behind it. Some of it's just downright weird. Right behind me.
Wow.
Right behind me here is actually, well, to be honest, I'm not really sure what it is. I don't know if it's a mantle for a fireplace or if it used to be a headboard. But it's meant to represent Hansel and Gretel. I'm not gonna lie, if it's a headboard, good lord, I do not want to meet the person who had this by their bed. That would scare the crap out of me at 5 in the morning. Hell no. Now, before my pictures do get the party started, does anybody have a $1 bill they are willing to donate to the Zach Star machine over there so Zach can say a few words and really kick off the fun session?
I don't know if I do either, and if I do, I can't find it.
We got one? Okay.
Got one.
Cool. My group of two, I'm going to bring you guys right on over here with me. Come on over. I got you guys right here. My 4, jump on over and put the dollar in Zach. In the Zach machine. There we go. Zach machine.
Yeah. Wow.
I had to rephrase that.
It feels really heavy in here. My chest feels really heavy. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, that's laughing Sally. I'll tell you about her in a second. Zach, you're embarrassing me. Take the dollar.
Welcome to the Haunted Museum. This 1938 historic mansion has seen death, and at one time in the past has even been the site for dark rituals, resulting in the previous owners to experience high levels of malevolent hauntings. Through some mysterious psychic power, this house called upon me to be the new owner, where I have given a residence for all the spirits that follow me from my never-ending journey investigating the occult and paranormal, even as a hospital for the afterlife. It is also a place that showcases my collection of curiosities and mystical artifacts that were so strongly attached to the living that they still claim ownership of them in death. What makes my museum different from any other is that you will face certain decisions, testing your own spiritual courage. So take the card below for some advice you will need on your upcoming journey through the Haunted Museum.
Take the ticket out, flip it over, and what's it say?
When gazing at the cauldron, someone may be hanging around.
I know what that means, and let me just say, when you're in the barn, the best view is all the way in the back and looking right on up. Now, if you guys actually look to your left, you will see the smallest and most haunted room in this whole house. Now, I can't have you go in there, but I can at least tell you what you're looking at. If you see a doll in the glass case, that is Gretchen. She came to us from the 1920s, and, well, she was made in the 1920s. And she has been compared to Robert the Doll. Robert the Doll is one of the most haunted dolls in the world, and he's currently in a museum in Key West. She belonged to a family in England that actually did not have any children of their own, but they all said that if they left Gretchen in a room by herself, they would actually hear what sounded like a kid crying and screaming like they were throwing a tantrum. When they would go to investigate, they would see any items on the walls or shelves in the room that Gretchen was in mysteriously broken on the ground. I'll have you 4 come on over towards me. My 2, you guys are RIP, so you can go on into the doll closet and take a look around. Please don't touch any of those dolls. Alright, then you guys are actually, you guys can look up here.
Damn.
God. It's creepy in here. Man. Wow.
Wow, look at that one. That's the one they're
I know,
talking
it
about.
looks like it's looking at you. Whoa. Wow. Yeah,
Yeah, that's something there.
It's just creepy, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's creepy. I'm not getting so right after that, man. Oh my gosh. Now, are you guys all big fans of Ghost Adventures? Awesome. Now, you guys know Zach is a huge fan of documenting paranormal, especially when it happens here. You guys just go ahead and perfect. Right here is a photo of a gentleman named Jonathan Levinson. Jonathan directed the most recent Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, this picture was taken with Zach's cell phone camera, and you can see the apparition right next to his hand. That's when he looked at Zach and said, Zach, my hand is numb, I cannot feel my arm. Something just grabbed it. We're not sure what this apparition is, but this is not the only apparition that we've caught in front of this case. I'll show you guys video evidence of the other one a little bit later. And then I'll have my 4, you guys are going to do a circle around, and my 2, you guys can come on up and take a look at that photo there. You guys can go look at the photo.
Oh, okay.
I got you 4 right over here. I know you didn't get a good view in there, so now you guys can see Gretchen. Now, next to that picture, there is a contract right there, which has been signed by Anton LaVey, the leader and founder of the Church of Satan. Now, that contract is one of Zach's most prized possessions because it is very rare. It is hard to find any item that had Anton LaVey's signature on that's not from the archives of the Black Church. Chalices also came to us from his estate, and they were used in various different satanic rituals while he was the Black Pope. They also were used in a ritual here in this house. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on, too. I can't give everything away in the first room, you know? Got to spread it out. Now, are you guys local or are you traveling? Traveling. Where are you from? Arizona. Michigan. Cool. I got a gentleman I'm talking about from your state in just a little bit. Well, right on. I'm going to be a great host for the museum, and I'm going to take you guys to the gambling saloon. So we're going to do another big circle so you guys can see the Anton LaVey items if you want. If you haven't gotten a good look at them yet, you guys are going to lead the way first. Come on over. I don't know why I said circle. It's supposed to. So my group of students are going to go straight ahead to that dude with the top hat and the mirror. And then my 4. This is what I always like to do when I have a group 4. You guys are going to get the whole top of the room. Oh, God. Yep, I got you 2 right there. So my 4, come on in, and you're going to get this whole hat right here. Yep, that's pretty much going to be your whole hat. Well, I guess 2/3, pretty much, because there's only 3 hats. Gambling. Now, this is my second favorite room in the museum. My first is a little further down the way. This is my second favorite. I'm not dissing, it's a good room. Now, right over here, this is actually the original light fixture that was in the home in 1938. It's actually pretty cool. Zach rewired it and got it working again. The cross beams are original too. So what better way to make this area look like a gambling hall? And that's exactly what we did. The only thing I don't like is the ceiling lights from the 1980s. But you know, hey, beggars can't be choosers. Like I said, everything was converted into law offices, so that awesome 1980s look of all the ceiling lights, yeah, that's still here. Now let's talk about some very iconic individuals of the Wild West, starting off with one of my personal favorites and sheriff of the town I grew up in, Wyatt Earp. Yeah, that's animatronic. He's supposed to do that.
Okay.
I will legitimately let you know if something haunted or creepy has happened in here. That is supposed to happen.
Okay.
Right behind you, hon, that is the Bible that belongs to legendary lawman Wyatt Earp. He was known for his time in Tombstone with Doc Holliday and his brothers Morgan and Virgil.
Wow.
That Bible stayed with Wyatt all the way up until the time of his death, but unfortunately after he passed away, his second wife Josephine had a lot of gambling debt that she needed to take care of. It forced her to have to sell that Bible. The family who took the Bible, however, took very good care of it and held on to it throughout their family throughout the generations. Zach purchased that Bible from that family, and he believes since very few people have touched it, Wyatt's energy is still attached to it today. I think so too. There's even a picture of Wyatt in his favorite chair next to the Bible on the left. And when I say he was sheriff of the county I grew up in, a lot of people don't know, but after Tombstone, he made his way up to North Idaho for a little while, right by the Canadian border where I'm from, and was sheriff of Kootenai County where I grew up. Both of those got to be. Now, right over here, we have a human skull. This is the first of many human remains you are going to see in the Haunted Museum. We have about 33 on display. Some are very out in the open and obvious, and others are not so obvious. But this skull was found by a gentleman named William Fowler. He was the horse and animal trainer for Buffalo Bill Cody's Wild West show. He found this skull in Indian Hill, Nebraska, and he believed it was a Native American skull. We also have the ink wall that belonged to Buffalo Bill himself and sat on his very own writing desk. So we're going to do a loop around. You four can make a circle around this way. You can head on over to the back left corner. And then my two, you guys can continue to loop all the way to where the Regina hexaphone is. You know what I just found out recently? That's a record player. I didn't even know that. Well, it's kind of a record player. It's like one of those little, you crank it and then it like turns the thing and then music comes out the other thing. Yeah. I know you like my description. I'm such a great tour guide. You crank the thing and it turns the thing and then music comes out the thing. Now this room does have a star attraction. We all like hearing about the lawmen. They're fun. We also like hearing about, you know, the rodeos. I'm sure we've all been to at least one at some point in time. But I love talking about the Outlaws right here. Now this case has a gun from legendary outlaw Jesse James. That is a .44 caliber Remington revolver that was found right underneath his home. This might have been the gun that was used to assassinate Jesse inside the home. This also might have been a gun that Jesse used for one of his robberies. It's a mystery because sadly we don't know. The state of Missouri went to go relocate his house, and they found the gun underneath one of the floorboards. They also relocated the gravesite of Jesse James too. He's no longer on the farmland, he's now in a cemetery. What we do know about this gun is the crosses on the handle match the crosses that were on the documented Winchester rifle. Right below that, we also had a hand press that was used by Jesse's mother, Zerelda. The hand press essentially was an item that she used after turning her son into a tourist attraction. Many individuals wanted to come and visit Jesse after he passed away, and Jesse was buried in the front yard of Zerelda's farm. Now, to us, that seems really, really weird, but back then, that was actually pretty normal. I can tell you all right here and now, whenever my mom passes away, she's not going in the front, she's not going in the back, she's not going on either side of my house. Not happening. I don't need her haunting me. Now, Zerelda, because she noticed so many people were coming to visit Jesse every single day, she would make a card for individuals that came by and glue a pebble to the card and sell it for 25 cents a piece. So they had their own little souvenir of Jesse. Kind of like the pioneer of murderabilia today. But like much murderabilia, you always got to be skeptical about what you get from a gravesite because it might not come from a gravesite. Maybe it came from, say, in Zerelda's case, the creek from behind her house. She would steal pebbles from the backyard and pour them over Jesse's grave so she never ran out of stuff. Now, another individual, a group of individuals that profit off of death are the Oddfellows Society. They are actually known to give you a free funeral service when you have a body that you need to put in the ground but you can't afford it. So my group of four, you guys are going to follow over with me. First, that way you two can jump on over and see the gun, and then I'll have you guys join me in the funeral parlor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
You guys can come on over here and go into the, all the way to that dude with the beard. And welcome to the Oddfellows room. Zach is actually going to take over and give me a break for a minute, and he's going to tell you about the Oddfellows Society. You are more than welcome to rotate around the room as Zach is chatting away.
Welcome to the Oddfellows room. Please circulate at a safe distance around the coffins. The Oddfellows, who are still active today, were much more of a secret, mysterious society when they were first founded in England in the 1800s. They committed to the order's main principles of friendship, love, and truth. They would also provide free funerals for their members with a few odd catches. First, any prospective new member of the Oddfellows would be blindfolded and placed atop the mechanical ghost, like the actual one you see under the shelves containing real human skulls. They would then be pushed around the temple on the back of the goat to the satisfaction of all the other members. The second part of their initiation ritual was decidedly more macabre. They would stare into the eyes of human skeletons like the ones that you see displayed before you for hours on end. in order to gauge their own mortality. These free funerals, however, would sometimes fall into that category of getting what you pay for. It seems that the bodies were not always making it into the ground. They would sometimes be found in walls or under floorboards. One of the skeletons that you are viewing was actually found in the attic of an old insane asylum that used to be an Oddfellows temple in New York City. And now, if you are one of my RIP all-access tour guests, you have the option to head over to the secret tunnel entrance in the corner of the room, drop to your knees and crawl your way through our very own initiation of facing the darkness of mortality, where uncertainty awaits on the other side.
It does lead to an exit, don't worry, I'm not gonna like run away laughing once you go in there.
Yeah, oh my God.
Up to the ceiling is literally 4 feet from the ground. I'll see you guys on the other side.
My name? You can't see anything in here.
The rest of you guys are gonna follow me.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, you can't see anything in here, dear.
Yeah, I know. I'm just feeling my way. Oh my God. Oh Lord. I'm touching your shoes. Oh God, it's going down, isn't it? Oh.
I see light.
Oh, where's your shoe? Hey, don't come so fast. Oh, where's your shoe?
You got it?
Yeah.
Come towards the light, Caroline. I believe in you. Leave me left. I said that to an 18-year-old the other day and I got yelled at.
Oh, dang.
It's the same thing when I have a kid who's in my yard and we have like sunglasses on and a suit and I'm like, what the heck, you work for the CIA? Alright, Shaft, let me see your face. And you didn't get it. You didn't get it.
You'll have to help me up, yes.
Alright, you alright, hon? You got it?
God.
You need an extra hand?
No.
Proud of you.
Oh, now I'm dizzy.
Go on over here.
Wow.
They're dancing for you.
Wow.
Nobody laughing at me. No, trust me, I've had people have way worse experiences in there. I had one guy that got stuck and I was like, that's unfortunate because I can't get you out.
Right.
I was like holding on to his shoe so he didn't lose me.
I had one lady, her husband scared her in the tunnel and she's like, you just made me fart. Then you can hear all these, you just hear this sound of like feet behind them, like trying to. I was like, oh man. Alrighty. Yeah, fun time to tell stories. This room here, this is our original bedroom for Lottie Wenger, the lady of the house. She was the matriarch of the Wenger family. She also died in this room of a fatal heart attack. We have our golden memorial dedicated to Lottie in the back left corner here, and we feel as if there's a lot of positive energy from Lottie still in this room. Now, right over here, though, is one of our more negative items, and I always like to start with this little guy because, you know, as we know, whatever is the most cute can always be the most evil. I have a little tiny cat who is really cute. She's a little munchkin cat, so she's like extra tiny. She's adorable. All my other cats are 3 times her size, but she beats them up and they are terrified of her. So, like I said, anything that's cute can sometimes be evil. And right here, these crying boy paintings, they were very popular in England in the 1970s. Now, they were not popular because, you know, they look cute. They were popular because individuals who had one of these paintings in their home would oftentimes would have a house fire with no signs of arson. They had no idea how the fires would start, and when the fire didn't consist of the ashes, these paintings would be the only thing that survived. When Zach got a hold of these 2 paintings, he did some research, and an art expert told him that the subject of the paintings, his parents died in a house fire, and he was the only one who survived. The artist would make fun of him and call him El Diablo, saying he could start fires with his mind, and he killed his family, and this would make the little boy cry. One day, he got very upset and ran out of the studio. When he got really upset and left the studio, sometime later, the studio mysteriously burned to the ground. Now, Zach also found out that the little boy died at the age of 19 in a car fire, and the only way he could be identified was by his driver's license, which mysteriously didn't burn. So essentially what the expert said is it is not the boy that was cursed, it's the image of the boy because he was being made fun of about being cursed. Zach even tested the theory and held a candle right up to this corner here of the canvas. The canvas would never get ruined and the frame would never get destroyed. Now right behind you, man, that is the clock from 2000.